Hey everybody, Jeff again for another Jeff's Adventure Academy. I want to talk today about another great Sierra series, one that is infamous at this point, one that you may have heard of. Let's talk about Leisure Suit Larry. Oh kids, Leisure Suit Larry existed mostly in a time before the internet. And before porn, more importantly, because Leisure Suit Larry is a series all about trying to get a nerdy 30-something, 40-something-year-old man walking around in the 90s wearing a leisure suit laid. That's it. His quest is a quest for love of varying degrees. It is highly comedic. And in an age before pornography was highly available, very enticing for a teenage boy. Leisure Suit Larry 1 is often considered to be one of the most pirated video games of all time. Everybody wanted to play it. Nobody wanted to be seen buying it. Interestingly, and we're going to do a quick run through of the series, but the first Leisure Suit Larry game is actually a remake of a text-only game called Soft Porn. I just find that interesting. A man named Al Lowe took that game and added graphics and more comedy, and it became Leisure Suit Larry. So let's talk about Leisure Suit Larry 1 in the land of the lounge lizards. There are actually 3 versions of this game. The initial release, the Sierra remake that did a graphical, a mouse-driven interaction, and a remake that came out about 10 years ago called Reloaded that changed some puzzles around, added a new girl, and that my name is in the credits for because I worked with the company that made it. Meaning I got to also meet with Al Lowe and talk with Josh Mandel, and it was a very formative event for me. It was fantastic. I loved it. So, Leisure Suit Larry 1. Larry arrives at Lost Wages, their version of Las Vegas, with a goal to get laid. And the original game actually has a time limit. Now, most people don't know about this time limit because it's actually very hard to fail the game. I don't know how long it takes, but essentially if Larry doesn't have sex after a long enough period of time, the sun comes up, he realizes he's going to be a virgin for his entire life, and he shoots himself in the head. Almost nobody has ever encountered this screen because the timer is very long, and you lose your virginity or can lose your virginity pretty early to a pretty hideous hooker. If you have sex with the hooker without a condom on, you die, by the way. So make sure you buy a rubber. So the general approach of Larry games is Larry meets a woman. Larry tries to impress this woman into sleeping with him, ends up doing something stupid or horrible, or the woman turns out to be horrible, and it all goes very badly for him. Repeat multiple times until he meets the final lady of the game, where things go well for him. The end. In Larry 1, we have Fawn. Fawn wants you to give her lots of material goods, lots of money, chocolates, a rose, a diamond ring. She will not sleep with you until you get married at a quickie wedding at the wedding chapel, where the priest knows her name, which all costs extra money. And then finally she gets you in the hotel room, ties you up, and robs you. Faith. Faith is a security guard who is very tired at her job, wishing she had time or energy, and so you decide to slip her a little Spanish fly to get her in the mood, and it works. She gets super in the mood, so she runs back home to her boyfriend to enjoy being in the mood. Her name is Faith. In Reloaded, they added Jasmine. This is a young woman of Asian descent who spends her days swimming with a whale in the casino, and because she swims with the whale, she's worried about smelling bad because she spends all her time with fish. So she's obsessed with perfume. So you learn how to make perfume, and one of the ingredients in perfume is ambergris or whale vomit. So you get you some hot sauce from an area of the game that also has my name in it, which is pretty fun for me. You get the hot sauce, you pour it down the whale's blowhole, causing the whale to vomit, so you get the ambergris. And you mix it with some other stuff to make her a jasmine perfume. And this all works great, and she's totally into you. And then he tells her, here's how I did it. I made your whale throw up by force-feeding it hot sauce. And, of course, she's highly offended and storms out and never comes back. All of this leading you to Eve. Faith was guarding the door to Eve's suite. You go up to Eve's room, and this is the chance in the first game to see nudity. There's a little bit of nudity in each game. If you turn off the bubbles in Eve's hot tub, you can see nipples. It's very exciting for a teenage boy. Then you give Eve an apple, and that's the end of the game. You are told that they spend a lovely night together. The second game is not only the worst in the series, but I think one of my least favorite adventure games of all time. It is also text-based. I think somebody might have done a fan remake, but I'm not willing to play it again to find out. You go to Eve's house in the suburbs only to find out you were a one-night stand for her and it wasn't true love. Because the first game, after you have sex with the hooker, you still feel empty and decide to look for love and lust. So she kicks you out. The second game has the best story. It's just miserable to play, because the story is that Larry accidentally gets mistaken for an undercover agent and spends the entire game on the run from the KGB agents who are trying to kill him, only he doesn't even know they exist. So the only time he learns that the KGB exists is if you screw up and they kill him, which is just kind of a fun scenario. The game is divided into sections. The first section is LA, where Larry lies about winning the lottery. To be fair, they let him. Like, he goes in and he asks them, hey, what are the winning numbers? And they give you the winning numbers, which you're, as a player, are supposed to write down, because then they say, why? What numbers do you have? And you give them back the winning numbers, and they're like, oh my gosh, you just won the lottery. Here's your $1 million. He also goes on a dating game where he wins a free cruise. Here is the issue with 2. First of all, there was a reaction after 1 where they were concerned about all the sex, making it not a popular game. So the point of 2 is to find true love. If you have sex at any point in the game, and there's only like 1 or 2 opportunities to do so, it's a game over. It's a death screen. Sierra games are famous for deaths, right? You got to save often because you never know what will kill you. And until much later Sierra games, death meant reloading a save. So this game is not about wooing babes. It's about finding true love and not getting killed by the KGB. The story is great. The comedy is great. One of the problems with this game is each section ends with a hidden timer sequence. You don't know when this timer kicks on, and you don't know when this timer ends. But essentially, once you win the cruise, for example, you now have a certain amount of time to get all the items that you need to and get on that cruise ship before the cruise ship takes off and you get a game over. You don't know this. And there are items you can't get until you win the cruise. So it becomes a race of making sure you get all the items that you need, because if you forget an item that you will need hours from now, you have locked yourself out of the game and probably saved 20 times since then, and now you got to start the whole game over. The hidden timer is awful. The fact that you can soft lock yourself so many times by getting on the boat, but you forgot to grab items that you need, when it would be so easy to get rid of the timer and have a dialogue prompt up, you can't help but feel like you're forgetting something. Or even hints of, what if you get thirsty? You should get something to drink before you head out. Or you're probably going to need a swimsuit. Like, there are so many better ways to do this. Anyway, so you get on the ship. Then you have to get off the ship. Why? You don't know why. If you stay on the ship too long, you die. The bachelorette who won the cruise with you did not go on the cruise. Her mom does. And if the mom catches you in her bedroom, which you need items from, grandma will tie you up and you will die from her kinkiness. It's weird. So you got to get off the ship. There's no reason to think that your character needs to hop on a rowboat and get off the ship unless you stay on the ship too long and die, and then you're like, oh, I guess I gotta escape the ship. But Larry doesn't know he needs to escape the ship. This is one of my biggest problems with this game. In order to survive the rowboat sequence, you have to have all of the right items, and you have to put them on. Like, you have to put a mop on your head to protect you from the sun. There's also guacamole dip. You get points for picking up the guacamole dip on the ship. If you put it back down, you lose those points. If you get in the rowboat with the guacamole in your inventory, it will be a game over. So in the brief period between when the rowboat kicks off from the ship and when the rowboat sequence actually begins, you have to throw the dip overboard to avoid death but keep the points. One of the weirdest things ever. And the game continues like this. There's an airport sequence where you have to get on your plane before it takes off. But you don't know that, and you don't know how long you've got. And you need to make sure to get a bobby pin before you get on the plane, although you don't know you need a bobby pin. How do you get a bobby pin? Well, you order food at the diner, and you pick the bobby pin out of the plate. You don't know the bobby pin's on the plate unless you try to eat the food. You eat the food, you die, because you choke on a bobby pin. Then you can load your game, and now you, the player, now know there's a bobby pin that you can pick up out of the inventory. This is another big issue I have with this game. You shouldn't be required to die to get the knowledge of the thing you need to do that your character... Larry has no way of knowing that there's a bobby pin in that plate. When you say pick up bobby pin, how is he supposed to know that was there? We know it as the player because we just choked on it and died. Larry didn't die. I restored my game. Larry, you're doing things as Larry that Larry doesn't know why you're doing it. I could go on for ages, but I'm not going to. Ultimately, the game ends with Larry semi-accidentally taking down a James Bond-esque villain called Dr. No Nookie on None Tonight Island. And in that process, he meets the chief of the island's daughter, Kalalau, and they fall in love, and they get married. And they live happily ever after. Until the third game. The third game's actually really good. It's the last of the typing interface games, but Kalala leaves you for a lesbian cannibal slot machine repairwoman. And Larry decides, love is for suckers, it's time to get babes. And so you go through the island sleeping with, or trying to sleep with various babes until you meet Passionate Patty. I forgot to say, the second game is called Leisure Suit Larry, Looking for Love in Several Wrong Places, and 3 is Passionate Patty in Pursuit of Pulsating Pectorals. I'm doing these off the top of my head, I'm so proud. So in 3, you try to sleep with all of these women, and they generally will lead you forward in the plot. All of the women in this game's last names end in I. So you meet Tawny on the beach. She likes to buy things. You give her a credit card and she will start to sleep with you, except she gets distracted by somebody selling souvenirs on the beach, and while she's distracted, a bunch of crabs crawl into your pants, and when you announce I have crabs, she takes it the wrong way. That's the end of that relationship. You meet, Cherry, who is a performer. She needs land. She wants to retire and have a farm. So you give her hundreds of acres of land that you got through the divorce. And so she sleeps with you, except it's in between shows, and then the show's about to start while you're trying to be mid-coitus, and you end up accidentally putting on her outfit and performing in the show. Then you go to the lawyer Susie Cheatham of Dewey, Cheatham and Howe, and she's so excited that you're cross-dressing because you're wearing this dress that she tries to sleep with you, except she keeps getting distracted by phone calls, and you can't take it. And I'm pretty sure that's all the women, and then you meet Patty. Oh no, there is Bambi. Patty won't sleep with you because you're overweight. Shocking. So you go to the gym to work out. In the gym, you meet Bambi. Once you're in good shape, which is, by the way, do like 11 push-ups, 11 bar pulls. You do 4 different exercises 11 times, and you become super buff and in shape. God, don't I wish. Then you can meet Bambi and help her make a new jazzercise video where she gets real excited and wants to sleep with you, except you're trying to have sex in a tanning booth and the lid becomes unstuck and smashes down on you, ending your fun. And then you meet Passionate Patty, and everything's great, except after a night of passionate, amazing lovemaking, as Patty drifts off to sleep, she thinks, I have to break up with my boyfriend Arnold to be with Larry, because he's my true love. And she says Arnold's name as she drifts off, and Larry hears it and he goes, that's it. I'm done with women. She was thinking of another man this whole time. That was the best night of my life. I'm done. And Larry leaves. And you take over Patty for the second half of the game, which is just going to find Larry. She's not trying to sleep with guys. She is going through these adventures to try and find Larry. They end up trapped in a cage at the Cannibal Women's Village, and uses a magic marker to draw a magic door to escape. And they land in the backstages of Sierra Studios, where you see props from all the Sierra games. You walk through several Sierra sets, and you meet Roberta Williams, creator of King's Quest, at the end. And she's so enamored with these stories of Larry's adventures that they give Larry a job, and Larry is now a programmer at Sierra and makes Leisure Suit Larry 1 through 3. Happy ending. Everybody wins. And that's where Owlo was stuck. There is no Leisure Suit Larry 4. It is one of the longest running jokes in video game history. There is no Leisure Suit Larry 4. There's a story about how what they were trying to make Larry 4, because they wanted it to become multiplayer, became the Sierra Network, which was this online community. But from Al's lips, the most believable story is he was really struggling with, I gave them a perfect ending. How do I pick up 4? And he was walking around the office one day and somebody said, hey, so you working on Larry 4? And he went, nah, we're already working on Larry 5. Hey, that's an idea. And so the next game is Leisure Suit Larry 5. Passionate Patty does a little undercover work. Larry has no memory of what happened after the end of 3. He has amnesia. But somehow he's now working at a TV studio, and he's sent to audition the 3 sexiest women in America to be a presenter on a TV show. 5 is not good. It's not near as bad as 2, but it's a baby game for babies. It is impossible to lose. It is impossible to dead end, and the puzzles are too simple. At some point, I guess they thought our games were too hard, let's make them easier. The game is very modular. You have 3 women in 3 different cities, and you can visit them in any order you want. In between the women, you cut to Passionate Patty, who is working undercover for the FBI to uncover this. There's a whole plot about an organization that's trying to corner the market on smut by trying to get the government to outlaw smut by donating money to a conservative group that's against everything. Meanwhile, Larry's just going around trying to find babes. All of the women in this game have alliterative names. So he meets Michelle Milken in New York, and in order to seduce her, he just has to give her a bunch of money that he found in a limousine. Done. He meets Jennifer Jiggle, who is not actually romanceable or interactable in any way, but has a character portrait in Atlantic City. Really, you're there for Luscious Lana, who you end up mud wrestling. All you have to do is rent some skates from Ivanka Trump, meet Luscious Lana, then raise a bunch of money in the casino so that you can pay to mud wrestle her in front of a large audience. Larry gets performance anxiety in front of a large audience and is unable to finish. And then you go to Florida, where Chichi Lambada, who is not alliterative, is a dental hygienist who needs a green card. You give her a green card you accidentally got, and a night of passion commences. She's also the unlockable nipples in this game is Chichi Lambada. You just keep trying to unbutton her shirt, and the game will eventually let you see that. And then Larry and Passionate Patty meet up at the White House after Larry successfully saves a crashing plane from killing everybody. And it turns out the big bad behind it all is the person who stole Leisure Suit Larry 4 and deleted it, which caused Larry's amnesia, so Passionate Patty and Larry are back together and happy forever. Until Leisure Suit Larry 5, where we pretend Patty doesn't exist because she's never mentioned ever again, and neither are any of the previous games. Leisure Suit Larry 6 is basically a fresh start. No prior continuity, nothing. Larry, again, wins a TV show and ends up staying a week at La Castellata, a health spa. And while he's in the health spa, of course, he just tries to sleep with all the women, and usually it goes bad. There's Chablis, who's a transvestite, and it's played up for laughs because he gets her alone on the beach, and she has her way with him. Yeah, that's not a high point of the series. There's the country music star Burgundy. Hey, see if you can figure out the naming scheme for all of these women. There's the lesbian gym teacher Cavaricci Varney. There's Charlotte Danae, who really likes electricity and pain, which does not go well for Larry. There's Thunderbird, who also really likes inflicting pain, which again doesn't go well for Larry. There's Rose Lita, who runs the High Colonic Irrigation Spa, and Larry doesn't know what a High Colonic is. That doesn't go well for him. There's Marilee Lowe, also known as Mer Lowe, who really likes bungee diving. That doesn't end well for Larry. You're catching a pattern here, right? But each woman in this spa... Oh, sorry, there's also Gammy Boisjoulet, who is hiding behind the front reception desk. She looks like a beautiful woman, then she steps out, and like her lower half is double wide. But you get a cellulite sucking machine working, and you thin her out, and then she is too good looking to have anything to do with you and leaves. Each of these women give you a trinket as a result of the time you spend with them. You take all of these trinkets, and when you present them all to a woman up in the penthouse named Shamara Payne, you beat the game, and you have a magical night with Champagne. And that's the end of Larry 6. Actually, Larry 6 is pretty good. The comedy is spot on. It's pretty great. And then the final official game in the series is Leisure Suit Larry 7, Love for Sale. 6 was Shape Up or Slip Out. Love for Sale, turns out Shamara Payne doesn't like Larry. Things went badly the next morning because he's a loser. And as he's fleeing her burning apartment, he finds a free ticket for a cruise. So on 7, you're on a cruise. And all of the women on the cruise have celebrity names. And your goal is to sleep with the captain. There's a competition on ship. If you beat all these events, you get to sleep with the captain. And along the way, you're going to sleep with various women with celebrity parody names, like Drew Barrymore, who's sitting by the pool, the nudist pool, with leaves covering appropriate places. All of the women in 7 can be seen naked. They're Easter eggs, and some of them are bizarre, the things you have to do and say. They make no sense to trigger them. Jamie Lee Coitus is a fashion person. You complete her by convincing her that she needs to make a line of leisure suits. Then she becomes very popular and leaves you. Annette Boning is a communication error. She believes she's hiring you to kill her husband. Larry thinks she's just super into him. He does end up accidentally killing the husband, and then she leaves. Why Don't Ya and Nail Me Jug are a country music duo, mother and daughter. You essentially... They talk about an incident where they mixed certain chemicals with the vinyl of their costumes under a heat lamp, and things got crazy. So you duplicate that, and things get crazy, and it actually goes well for Larry for a change. But then they're so embarrassed they leave forever as well. I'm doing really good doing all of these from memory. There's a woman who, I can't remember her name now, but she cheats you at Liar's Dice, and if you win, she drugs you and you have a drug sequence and she's gone. All of these to ultimately spend a night with the captain, Captain Thigh. And if you find all of the hidden collectibles in the game and you get maximum points and you do everything you're supposed to do, you get a special cutscene with Captain Thigh, and then the game ends with Larry being abducted by an alien spaceship. And that's the end of the official Larry games. Al has said Leisure Suit Larry 8 would have been on a spaceship, and the aliens would have mimicked Earth culture from like the 70s, and Larry would have been perfectly at home, and it would have taken him a while to figure out they were aliens. But there is no Larry 8. Very briefly, there are 4 more games that came out later that didn't have Allo's involvement. 2 of them are the Larry Lovage games, featuring Larry Laffer's nephew, Larry Lovage, in college. The first one is Magna Cum Laude. It's not an adventure game. It's really a series of mini-games that you use to talk to and seduce women. It's actually pretty funny. It's pretty decent. It's still not an adventure game. It's still not, I don't consider it an official Leisure Suit Larry game, but there are parts of it that Al says, I kind of wish I'd written that, because there are good parts in it. It's not a terrible game. It's not what you're used to. It's not what you're expecting, but it's fine. Then there came the sequel, Box Office Bust. At some point, they decided the problem with Leisure Suit Larry games is the sex and nudity. What people really want is swearing. Swearing has not been a big part of Leisure Suit Larry. Foul language. Leisure Suit Larry games, apart from the women, is about clever wordplay and nuance and double entendres. Box Office Bust was just, let's say the F word a lot because that's funny, and let's make it an action platformer. It's the only Larry game I have not beat or even come close to beating, and I never will. It is miserable. Then, like 5 years ago, a German company bought the rights to Leisure Suit Larry, and they released 2 games, Wet Dreams Don't Dry, and Wet Dreams Dry Twice. They're fine. The comedy's okay. I hate the art style. They even got the original voice actor for Larry, which is cool, but they don't work. Anyway. So that's the Leisure Suit Larry series in a nutshell. Again, good old games or Steam. You can go and get these games. I do recommend the first collection if you're looking for something funny, witty, with a little sexiness mixed in. They're fun. The second game, you can skip, read a synopsis or something. It's really poorly made. And then maybe play some Magna Cum Laude if you're interested. Don't do Box Office Bust, please. I'm trying to help you here. And you can play the 2 German ones if you want. They're what they are. That's it. That's it for a very formative... I guess I can talk a little bit about... So they announced about 10 years ago they were going to remake the entire Leisure Suit Larry series, which I'm all in favor of. And then they were going to start making new games, and I've always wanted Leisure Suit Larry 8, so super excited. And it was being done by a company in the city I lived in Austin. So I put together a little video celebrating the babes of Leisure Suit Larry with the soundtrack and all of these images and a little video, and I sent it to them. And they liked the video so much that they asked me to come work on the project. I was the community manager, so I handled the Facebook and the Twitter of various accounts, interacted with fans, and then they learned I was a writer, so they actually had me write some of the age verification questions in the game. Then they put my name in the game because they liked me so much. It was a really cool experience, especially getting to go out and eat with Al Lowe, who was responsible for so many laughs through my adolescent years. I will say, I told a joke that made him laugh, which was so satisfying, but it is one of the dirtiest jokes I know, and I'm not telling it here. But I made Al Lowe laugh, and that's going on my Lifetime Achievement Awards. They even offered to let me be the lead writer on the second game. And I was torn because I did want to... I'm a writer. I love to write. But if I wrote the second game remake, I wouldn't get to play it because I'd know it forward and backward. So ultimately, I declined. And then they hired Larry Ahern, who wrote The Curse of Monkey Island, the third game, which everybody loves. And I said I would assist him with writing, supplemental stuff. Absolutely. I'm not going to go into... There was a scandal with the guy who's in charge of Replay Games. I don't want to talk about it. It's not fun. It's not happy. I don't have anything to say about it. It didn't involve me. It wasn't about me. It's not my business. But it was bad, and Al Lowe retired again from video games. He said, that's it, I'm done. And the Reloaded series stopped there. And that was the end of that. So, a sad, ignoble end, but somewhat fitting for Leisure Suit Larry, honestly. Things just blowing up in your face. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Jeff's Adventure Academy. I do recommend... I really like Leisure Suit Larry. I think it's a blast. I think it's very funny. And again, as a teenage boy howdy, formative, I think is the word we use. Anyway, I think next time we'll talk about my favorite adventure game of all time and its 2 sequels that are worth talking about. So we'll see you there. Thanks.